giving billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Brian.
Or something. Just kill them. Just kill them. Just kill them.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here, and that's 100% correct. That's not AI. You're not being fooled. That is what Brian Kilmeade just said. Now, before we get started on the video, before we get started on the story, don't forget that the debacle and the nightmare we call the Tangerine Tornado himself, who people like this put in the presidency, is in the Epstein files. They just put out the birthday book, and I'm going to put a link to it right down there so you can see the disgusting things for yourself. I put it on Blue Sky, as well as he's this far from pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a convicted child predator. Yeah, these are facts, and this story will not distract from that fact. Now, the story is, you just saw it. If I have to explain that to you, you're watching the wrong channel. This guy just said it's okay to involuntarily lethally inject homeless people who have mental issues. And to be honest with you, when you hear the black guy there say that we should just throw him into a mental institution, everything that he says there is a lie. They don't want the help. We offer them help and they don't want it. Everything is a lie. Everything that guy said. You want to know where it comes from? It comes from bigotry. And this is a bigotry that's been reinforced for 30 to 50 years by confirmation bias newscasting. It started with AM radio and Rush Limbaugh. And then more freaks and disgusting people started to make their name on AM radio, and then was filtered into Fox News. And then Fox News would be there as a 24-hour confirmation bias network. So people who were already bigoted, people who already felt like they had a reason to feel better than someone else because of their race, their class, their religion, or their sexual orientation, could turn it on and be confirmed in their bias. Where does that number come from? Did anyone ask him? No. We already know that they're spending billions on this. Where? How? Has anyone looked that up? Does anyone care? Not anyone watching that. But if you believed it when you heard it, it's because for you, it was confirmation bias. It happens on the left. It's what happens to humans everywhere. If you already believe something, here's confirmation bias. I believe that Tucker Carlson is an abuser of women. I wouldn't even look it up because I hate him already. I have to admit that. Before I put it on here as fact, I would look it up though, because I understand confirmation bias is a thing, but to people who already believe that homeless people are just dirty people who made the wrong decisions, that makes them feel better because they're not homeless, that means they made the right ones, not the fact that they're lucky because in 20 days, all of the subsidies given to the Affordable Care Act that allow your insurance to be lower than it would have been 8 years ago. Yeah, remember Affordable Care Act, Obamacare? That we just forgot about when we voted against our own interest yet again? Yeah, all of that goes away in 20 days. It's already voted on. It's not something that might happen. It's already happened. And 20 days from now, when you get a letter saying that your insurance goes up, because you're reminded that the only reason your insurance was as cheap as it was because you had the Affordable Care Act giving subsidies to them, we'll all at that point be reminded of how close we are to the homeless person, but not the person who just saw what we saw and thinks that that guy is right. Took it without even asking a question. But there's a more important question here. I'm going to show you this clip. It's going to be a different version of it. And it's really funny, actually. Not that anything that is, The subject is not funny, guys, but you'll see what I mean afterwards. And that's going to take us to exactly why we're here, what's happening in Congress, and a bigger story than even Kilmeade saying, let's just kill all the homeless people. Because I guarantee you, they've always wanted to do that. They just couldn't wait to find someone to agree with them on TV. Watch this, laugh at it, and we'll come back.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people.
They have given...
You saw that? My favorite, the black guy. I call him that because I don't know his name. I don't want to because he's an idiot. He's a tap dancer, house Negro. But did you see at that moment, his eyes were like, am I supposed to? Did he supposed to say that? Is that on the teleprompter? What happens is, in that moment, instead of having a spine, instead of doing and saying something that he knew he should have inside of his heart, he had to make an agreement. That's where this video is going. I want to show you every one of those people that turn on Fox News for confirmation bias. And if you're on the left and you turn on anything you turn on, including me, for confirmation bias, but don't look at it critically. There will come a time that at Eris, when her video finally comes out, it's supposed to be out today, but it's tough. Laura and the Canadian Drain, your boss, your mother, or your father, or your friend, or your wife, or child, or husband says something. And in order to keep getting that confirmation bias or whatever it is you're getting from this source, you'll have to make an agreement. Like this black guy, this idiot, this feckless tap dancer did. Because when he heard that, he knew it was wrong. You see it in his face. But he had to make an agreement. And once you make that one agreement, the next one isn't so hard. Or you'll have to make it because you already made this one. Case in point, this is what happened on the Senate floor yesterday.
Today, I want to talk about another common part of this story about how democracies evaporate, and that's the subjugation of the legislative branch to a corrupt executive branch. Put another way, in healthy democracies, the legislature or the parliament sees itself as a check on runaway executive power. It stands up regularly for its powers, its prerogatives, no matter who the president or the prime minister is. In a disappearing democracy, the legislature effectively operates as an arm of the executive, simply taking orders, including orders to wind down the independent power of the legislature. This is what is happening here, right now, in the United States Senate. One of the most important checks on executive power given to the Senate by the Constitution is the power of consent for nominees to high executive office. It prevents a president from installing in power unqualified or corrupt people. It allows the legislature, and through the legislature, the people, to make sure that the executive branch stays in its lane, executing the law, not making the law. Now, yesterday, we effectively gave that power up in an extraordinary way. Senate Republicans went nuclear. That means they used their majority power to change the rules of the Senate unilaterally without any Democratic support. So that now, in one single vote, the Senate can confirm 50 or 100 or 1,000 Trump nominees all at once. From the founding of our republic until yesterday, without unanimous consent, the Senate voted on one nominee at a time. Now the Senate can batch together dozens or hundreds of nominees in one vote, essentially obliterating our power of advice and consent.
If you ask yourself, how is it that Republicans are willing to give up all of their own power, the only power they have left? I mean, literally, just say, forget it. We're not going to approve any of these people. We either approve all of them or none of them. So you have no choice. You have to ask yourself, how many agreements have they made before this? And so when this came up, they had no choice but to go with it or look like fools. They had no choice but to go with it or write their own death warrants politically. You see, when they approved the idiots, Keg's Breath, when they approved Kash Patel, when they approved the anti-vax worm brain who swims in toxic waters and calls it the fountain of youth, who's an idiot beyond all recognition, like no one's ever seen before, to quote the orange orangutan himself. When they made the agreement that fascism was kinda okay, it only goes downhill. For the people watching Fox, when you made the agreement that it was okay to watch Jesse Waters 10 years ago when he was just a little punk kid walking around making fun of the homeless, when you made that agreement, you made the agreement that at some point Brian Kilmeade would say, just kill him. And you would have to say, guess so.
One of Fox News' segments demonizing people in New York City.
You know you're not allowed to be doing this right here.
Oh my God, bro, can you leave me alone, man? Wow. Are you serious right now?
Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this? Away from me, bro.
For example, a 2019 study by the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless found that among Chicago's homeless population for 2017, about 18,000 had college degrees, means they put in the work, they went to school, and they did all this stuff, they graduated, they got a degree, which means they should have been employable. Now, they ended up being homeless instead of being employed. So that's an issue. And by the way, 13,000 people who are unhoused in Illinois alone were employed. They had jobs.
Because like that black buck on the side of the couch with his eyes wide in shock at what he just heard, you didn't have the testicular fortitude or ovarian fortitude to say that was wrong then. And you made the agreement to keep watching the filth. If I've ever given you a reason to make that agreement, I also give you the chance to put it down in the comment section. And I also have different opinions on purpose on here so that you don't have to feel like you have to make that agreement. You can disagree with me, but everything that I speak is truth as I know it and as I see it. Once you've made an agreement with the person who was walking around laughing at homeless people, at people with accents, and calling it news, you made the agreement back then that it was already going to be okay to inject them without their permission and just kill them all. You just didn't have the testicular fortitude to say it. What will you agree to next? Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops. but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.